What is up, Flutter devs? Continuing from our last video where we're porting processing over to Flutter, we are going through the process of taking methods and properties that already exist in Flutter and Dart, but we're exposing them through properties and or methods in our Sketch API so that it's easier for existing processing developers to port their code over to Flutter Processing. Let's see what we're working with today. Today, we are looking at the creating and reading section. All of the methods in here are essentially, they inspect a color and they give you some information about the color, the alpha of the color, the blue channel, the brightness. Color is probably takes in, we may already have color, but it probably takes in some values and creates a color. The green channel, the amount of hue, linearly interpolate a color, red, saturation. These should all be pretty easy for us to forward from existing calls. Let's come in here to our code. As a reminder, we have this sketch definition. It's way too big. We're going to break it down in the near future. But what we're doing now is with the really easy stuff that we're just kind of passing through, we are using mix-ins to add those isolated behaviors to the overall sketch definition so that we have these directories over here and files to kind of break things down for organizational purposes. Let's go ahead and create first. Let's notice that color is the top level category here. Creating and reading is a subcategory. Let's create a package called color, and then let's create a file called reading and writing. Then we can say class sketch color reading and writing. Let me also, I keep forgetting this, let's make this an underscore file. Underscore files, generally speaking, are not meant to be accessed from outside the package. Now, as I think about this, what we could do is have a color class that mixes in both setting and creating and reading. We'll keep it simple for now. We'll just directly create a sketch color, and I should not be reading and writing. It should be creating and reading. Creating and reading. And the file should be creating and reading. Now let me copy these names that we're going to implement. I'm going to reorganize a little bit here. I'm going to do red, green, blue, alpha, color up here at the top, hue, brightness, saturation, actually hue, saturation, brightness, and lerp color I'll put here. These, I think, are more logical groupings about, if you wanted to actually read this, what you'd be looking for. Let's start with color. What does color want us to do? Creates colors. Yeah, the parameters are interpreted as RGB or HSB values depending on the current color mode. Where is color mode defined? See, color mode is up here in setting in this other category. Let's see, RGB or HSB, that's fine. Range for all color elements. I don't know what are these max values about. By default, the parameters for fill, stroke, background, and color are defined by these values. Calling color mode RGB 1.0 will specify that values are specified between 0 and 1. The limits for defining colors are altered by setting the parameters max, max 1, max 2, max 3. So it kind of creates a custom mapping. I think let's maybe implement color mode without all this max stuff for right now, because we don't want to go mess with all the other behaviors that we've already implemented. And color mode in general, we'll need to pipe it into all these other calls for fill, stroke, background, and we're going to implement color. But the fact that color mode comes from a different place, it indicates to me that really we want to implement all of color in one object. So I think really what we want to do here is call this color. Was it plural or singular? Singular. Okay, call it color, and you are going to be sketch color. And then let's create, we want an enumeration for color mode, which is going to be RGB or HSB. HSB stands for hue, saturation, and brightness. We want to be careful to export that enumeration because it needs to be used by the people who are using this package. And then inside this object, we will have a color mode, which is going to initially be RGB. And we are going to have a method called color mode, which takes a color mode. And then we're going to say color mode equals new mode. Then down here with color, we're going to return a standard Flutter color. And how many values did we say color takes in? 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, how do we want that to work? I think we're going to have to use named parameters here. We'll take in an amount of gray. Actually, these are integers between 0 and 255, I think. Yeah. These can be floats or integers. Well, that's annoying. So many variations on what can be passed in here. Gray is definitely an integer. So we should just decide whether we're going with percentages or we're going with values between 0 and 255. Let's go with integers all the way around for now. Alpha by default will be 255. And then component 1, component 2, component 3. Let's first say that gray is not equal to null, or comp 1 is not equal to null, or comp 2 is not equal to null, or comp 3 is not equal to null. I think we either need a gray value or we need a color value. And in fact, this should probably be, we probably require all 3 components, I would guess. Let's see what we find out here. Yeah, I think so. I think we need all 3. So one of those things must be true. Either you give us some gray or you give us all 3 color components. Now, if gray is not equal to null, then we're going to return a color from ARGB. The alpha is going to be the alpha, and then gray, we're going to pass that for all the channels. And I don't know why I made those all double after I just said that we're going to make them integers. Okay, else if color mode is color mode, which we can just do switch color mode. And then if it's RGB, we're going to return color from ARGB, which is alpha, comp 1, comp 2, comp 3. And we've already made sure with our assertion that those exist. HSB, we're going to have to use first a different color. So in Flutter, it's HSV. V for value is the same thing as brightness. So the HSV color is HSV color from HSV, comp 1, comp 2, comp 3. Okay, and this, we're going to divide you by 255, divide you by 255, divide you by 255, and divide you by 255, because those need to be doubles. Then we're going to return HSV color to color. Okay. I think that's good. Lerp color, we're going to return a color given color 1 and color 2, which is going to return color lerp color 1, color 2, and actually we need a percent in here. And we're going to expect that there's always a value. Let's make sure I guessed that API correctly. Lerp color. Yep, 1, 2, and amount. Sure. What else do we have? So red, let's see what that's supposed to return, whether it's an integer or a double. The red is... The value is always returned as a float. Well, we can return it as whatever we want. The question is, what's the range? So I guess the range is actually based on the color mode. For us right now, we're just dealing with integers, so that's how we'll implement it. We may need to come back later and do something about that. We'll return color.red. Color.green. Color.blue. Color.alpha. And then down here, hue, saturation, and brightness. I'm assuming that's also based on the color mode range, but let's find out. So this says 126, which indicates that it's an integer between 0 and 255. I guess that's because of the color mode up here. So let's stick to our integers. HSV color, from color, hue, I believe that's a percent. So we're going to say times 255. And then we're going to round it. And these others will be almost identical. Saturation and value instead of brightness, because value is another name for brightness. All right, now we've technically implemented all of those different color translations and inspections. Now I noticed a number of these had tests. As always, I like to test things when we can. So let's see what happens if we try to create these same renderings. Here in our test directory, we will create a new package called color. Oh, it's already there. We will create a file called color test. Let's go down to what we were working on in the last video. Well, we can copy this one. This is in color, and the subcategory is creating and reading. And then the first thing that we will test is alpha. I actually don't know if we're going to get the desired result for alpha because I'm not sure what mechanics we have set up for painting with alpha to the canvas. Let's take this code. S.noStroke final color equals S.color. Did I forget to mix it in? Yes, I did. Sketch color. Save that. Okay, S.color. Alpha, comp 1, comp 2, comp 3. S.fill, S.rect. Was that named? Yeah. Now let's see what how is it defining that rectangle? Not sure what that rectangle is. We have a okay. I was looking at this inner box. The whole box is what we're drawing. So that's the top left. That's the bottom right, I think. All right. And then value is S.alpha. And then we want to say fill color value. Yeah, that's okay. What's going on there? So fill. That's a weird behavior. So what they're passing into fill is just an alpha value. Oh no, it's converting alpha to a gray value, I think is what's happening. It's saying, okay, an alpha of 102, but we're going to take the number 102 and we're going to treat it as a gray value, which seems really weird, but let's go ahead and do that. In fact, we can just say gray is value. Now we're testing out two different things with our color behavior. And then S.rect All right, let's see what we get. Flutter test update Goldens. Plain name equals alpha test color test. Well, that doesn't look good at all. Alpha 0. Is that? No, that must be RGBA. That's RGBA. So I had these, so we need to move all of these down by 1. So this one here is 102. You are 255. You are 126. And the first component is 0. Let's regenerate that. Okay, just way too small. So why is it so small? The overall size of the canvas here should be 100 by 100. Now, one thing that's odd, when we look at this, it looks like there's almost as much of a gap above this rectangle as below it. But the top Y value is 15, the bottom is 70. The bottom gap should be twice as large. So I think this image may be wrong unless I'm misunderstanding something here. I think we would want this to be 85 and 85. And then I think that we would want the left X to be 15 and then this one to be 50. Oh, that's width and height. Dumb. Okay, let's try this one more time. All right, there we go. Now we match. All right, making things difficult on myself for no reason. Here's red. Let's write a test for this. Rename the file, rename the test, and now let's copy over the code. We'll say final C equals s.color. This should be red, I believe, or comp 1, comp 2, comp 3. S.fill with that color, s.rect. Now I'm going to assume this one is defined by the width and the height. So from left top with height. Final red value is s.red of C. We're not going to print anything out. S.fill color. I'm not sure what the 00 is for on that. Okay, that's because it's passing color components in there. We want, we will say color comp1, excuse me, we will say s.color comp1 red value. And then, well, now that's making me think that 2 and 3 like, shouldn't we be able to pass a red value in there and then have green and blue just default to 0? I guess we can be explicit for now. s.rect save that, and this time we are running test red. All right, close enough for me. Green. Here's green. We're going to go through virtually the same process here. All right, and let's rename C to color. And then let's run the test for green. All right, looks good to me. How about blue? Let's see if this time maybe it's faster to just adjust the color values than to rewrite all of this code. So let's copy this over and let's adjust the values. The first color is now 175, 110, 220. Then same rectangle, 0, 0, blue value, same rectangle, UR blue value, and U should be S dot blue. Save that, run the blue test. All right, looks good to me. Let's start getting rid of these things that we're done with. Green, red, color mode we're not going to deal with any further. Alpha we did. Color itself has a bunch. There's hue, saturation, brightness. There's hue, saturation, brightness, color, and lerp color. Let's do hue, saturation, and brightness, then lerp color, and then we'll see if we want to do all that color stuff. All right. S.noStroke, S.color mode is going to be color mode HSB. Final C equals S.color, comp 1, comp 2, comp 3, S.fill, color is C, S.rect with a rect from left top with height. We want S.hue from color, S.fill. Color is equal to S.color gray value, S.rect. Okay. All right, looks like it matches to me. Then on to saturation. And I'll try to just make the adjustments needed. 0, 1, so same thing there. Except here we're going to say saturation, and that's the only difference. Okay. While that's running, let's grab brightness. I actually need to copy the whole test first. Brightness, brightness, and let's go check on saturation. There's saturation, which is what we expect, so we're all good there. Back to brightness. Let's copy brightness. Let's see what values we need to adjust. Looks like the only thing we're adjusting is this right here. Save that. Run the brightness test. And then while that's running, let's copy this for lerp color. And actually all of these should have parentheses. Okay, and let's see if brightness worked out. There's brightness, brightness, that's correct. Now we're over here with lerp color. Let's grab all this stuff. S.stroke, and that's going to be color. S.color gray 255. S.background is color. S.color gray 51. Final from S.color. Final to S.color. Final inter A is lerp color. Final inter B is also lerp color. We want component 1, we want component 2, we want component 3. 1, 2, 3. S.fill from S.rect from left top width height. S.fill inter A, S.fill inter B, S.fill 2. And actually here we can use the cascade operator and get rid of a bunch of these S's. All right, and the last thing is these rectangles. Okay. And then let's say lerp color. All right, so still aliasing issues, but it looks roughly like what we expect. So you're done, you're done, you're done, and you're done. Now, do we care enough to do this? I don't think I care enough to run these tests because we're already using the color method so many times in the other places that this is, I mean, I guess if one of you want to commit this, I'll accept it, but I'm not going to take the time to do it now. So with that, we have all the creating and reading for colors: alpha, blue, brightness, color, green, hue, lerp color, red, and saturation. I think we have 1 or 2 more videos maybe of this kind of thing, and then we're going to refactor and prepare for other people to work on this. So I'll see you then.